Oh no, boys and girls. Weather report for April 18th, 2022. It is tax day.
Taxes.
And the day after Zombie Day. Right?
What?
You're muted, Scott.
It's post-zombie day, and it's tax day.
Zombie Day, yeah.
Or
you become a zombie, and then you're suddenly not a zombie, or all of a sudden.
I think he stayed a zombie because I don't know.
I just want to see the movie of the people that went on the hunt for the zombies that resurrect, that came out of the grave and everything, and then somebody had to chase them down and kill them.
Yeah.
Or you'd be making more zombies.
Yeah, there'd be a whole bunch of them. Yeah. Well, I think that's where The Walking Dead starts. So anyway.
Must be. Yeah, they just didn't have it right. It wasn't a virus. It was from Zombie Day.
I was trying to put all that together, and I don't know.
Now, what was that word that we were talking about? Lich. Somebody was making the point that it's not a zombie and it's not some of these other critters, but it's a lich, which is some sort of undead creature that's been enlivened or something.
Yeah, a lich. Fantasy fiction from Old English, meaning corpse. It's a type of undead creature, and it shows a picture of one here. I kind of like him. He's pretty cool. He's awesome lich.
It showed that on or not that specifically, but they had one of those kinds of creatures on a kids' television show, I believe.
Yeah.
Cartoon.
So we got a video, but we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about this other video. So Cordova did a little video on the Big Bang, and it's there's an article by Michael Disney, and it was I think it was a science article. It wasn't really a paper. It was just adding up all the different problems with the theories, and the problems that remain with dark matter. And he has I think it was he was trying to make the point that we ought not think we know too much about this stuff right now, because there are a lot of questions, right? And we have to have a very open mind about everything.
Well, I just feel like with any scientific field, you're going to have issues and problems that haven't been resolved yet. So I don't see, at least in my naive opinion, I don't see much merit in his view of that.
Yeah, I would expect for there to be greater problems with cosmology than anything else, as far as our understanding.
Well, because it's a very complex field, and there are very out there topics that don't appeal to our intuition.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Like we were talking earlier.
A lot of number crunching.
Yeah, I think we're going to come to a mathematical understanding that solves a lot of these problems, but that mathematical understanding, like with quantum mechanics, is never going to satisfy our intuition. We're still going to be trying to think. We're still going to be trying to think what came before the Big Bang, or in other words, what came before there was time at all, and what is outside of space, which is you're thinking wrong right from the get-go when you try to visualize what is outside of space-time.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
People in Europe, which presumably have a better education system than in America, do they have as much problem conceptualizing the Big Bang Theory and some of the math and concepts involved that make you change from a conventional, maybe phenomenological way of thinking to a more out there kind of thinking? Are they, because of a better education system, are they better at grasping these things than Americans?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, a
If
lot
you
of
have an
smart
opinion,
people have
Sky
come
Chat,
from
make sure and
England.
type it in there. I'm sorry, Andrew, I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just saying a lot of smart people, physicists, have come from England and other places in Europe, so you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I got a few smart Americans.
It wouldn't surprise me if it turned out to be the case.
Yeah.
But with our education system here.
So I just want to play a few clips, kind of get us started. I did not watch this. I read the article instead, or read the conclusion and a couple of pages in the beginning, and it's linked in the description.
Should we give a background of who this Disney guy is?
I don't know who he is. Michael Disney. Do you know?
No.
Okay.
So is his head frozen somewhere waiting to be attached to a new body?
Oh, wait. Maybe I do know. Michael Disney he's at some university. I think he's a cosmologist. So.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't, it was just a summary of physical theories, and it was sort of an opinion piece that, hey guys, don't get too cocky, One of those articles. We get those in biology all the time, right? And evolution, we get these really highly regarded evolutionary biologists that will come down and say, the theory's all fucked up. It's just.
Oh, can I get the page number where he said that the Earth was 6,000 years old?
I couldn't find that one. I'm not sure.
How about that the dinosaurs were on the ark and that the world had a global flood? Of course, that's not Big Bang cosmology. You're right.
I think what happened is the commie censorship got to it and took all those parts out.
Oh.
So actually, it wasn't a bad article. It's worth a read with an open mind. He uses rhetoric that Cell loves because it gives him all kinds of sound bites,
Well, don't you know, Scott, Big Bang Theory is just evolution of the universe.
That's right. It's one of the 8 kinds of evolution that Dr. Kent Hovind always talks about.
Yep. So at risk of me starting to echo, and if I do, I'll leave. I'm going to play.
May I ask another quick question?
Oh, sure.
I'm full of questions today. What is the grown-up name for the Big Bang Theory?
Depends on the person.
Leo tells us all the time, but I never can remember.
Was a grown-up name for expansion?
Well, you could say things like metric expansion of space-time, or the one I like is from a video of the channel Minute Physics, and it's basically the everywhere stretch. I like that a lot because it sounds weird, but it makes more sense than the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. You think Christians would like that, because didn't they famously use the rack to make believers, where the everywhere stretch on your body, where they put you on a rack? And
I don't know about that.
Oh, I think they did that in medieval times. If you were a heretic, they put you on the rack and they give you the everywhere stretch. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Big Bang Theory in its original form did originate from a Catholic priest, though, at least.
I bet that's what got him thinking, is the rack. He was torturing some heretic, and he thought, you know what? Anyway, okay.
It's just one more thing. So it's actually funny that he came up with the idea, and then the Pope at the time, or later on, I believe, said, "Oh, this confirms creation." And he, the guy who came up with it, Lemaitre, was basically, "No, don't jump to conclusions there. This is a scientific idea. This is not a religious idea. Stop mixing the two." So that's just a notable thing there.
No, cute.
Anyway.
Okay, I'm going to play a clip.
May bash evolutionary theory again, as you know I love to do. Evolutionary theory is an illusion of knowledge. It is hindering advancement in understanding at the operational level with junk DNA. And now, I'm going to point out that the nested hierarchies are the consequence of biology design optimized for scientific discovery, such as things like protein folds.
Holy
and
shit.
I'll be doing a talk on that.
He really believes that he came up with this idea that God created the hierarchies so that we could better understand biology. And his other idea is that he made chimpanzees and other primates so that we could do medical testing on them and we don't have to do it on human beings. That basically
seems like an awfully arbitrary, vague, and counterintuitive.
Right. But now the way he just said it now, it was as if he's already proven his thesis. Like everybody should just accept it at this point. And then when he talks about
the fact that that's not even a thesis.
Right. He loves to go talk about the medical community and how they don't pay attention to evolution. And that is unfortunately true to a certain extent, because it isn't emphasized in medicine right now, except in the field of cancer. And it still isn't being emphasized enough. So he's claiming that evolution is setting it back. And I'm claiming that basically all cancer researchers should first take a course in population genetics before they ever get into anything else, because that is the most important thing to understand about cancer, is that it works exactly like any other population of animals inside of your body.
I'd even take it a step further, because you can use evolutionary theory to predict how viruses are likely going to change, and you can account for that later on. So and bacteria, and I don't take as much leeway as you're doing here with his claim.
Yeah. It's for cancer research. I mean, it's why cancer kills you, basically.
And just to point out,
go ahead.
Sal is just a propagandist. All he's doing is taking his warped point of view of the world, and his only look for things to prove what I want it to say kind of approach to literature. And he's coming up with nonsense. This is a really good book right here.
Oh, man, that is a good book.
That illustrates unequivocally the central role of biological evolution in the world.
And it's from 1999.
The world as we see today.
Yeah. And this guy is currently doing a lot of videos, so you can find Steve Jones videos. We found 8 of them. Unfortunately, they're not all together. They're like, 10 minutes long? They're 8 videos. We should probably post the first one so people can find the other ones. But, for being from 1999, he's got some very, very forward ideas on evolution and the extended synthesis and a bunch of other things. But Steve Jones is really a cool guy. Anyway, okay, so I got one more clip. I'm not sure what this one is.
Considering the New Testament, Jesus appeared to his apostles, and then 500 chosen people to be his witnesses. By the way, the Greek word for witness is martyrs. Okay, just to let you.
They love that.
If Jesus works a miracle for you and does something convincing, just be aware you might be on the hook to live your life to a certain higher standard, because to whom much has been given, much will be expected. And this is sobering for us who have sought to learn evidences for the Christian faith. As you learn it, you realize, I have to live my life to a different standard now, because we will be judged more harshly.
So Jesus saved me from kidney cancer, so I got to be careful, I guess, is what I'm taking from that. So, but I don't know. I don't think my doctor's name was Jesus. I don't know. Anyway, there's that one, and I think he wraps it up
With
on.
that, we had the 500 witnesses. Why didn't Jesus just appear
Oh no,
to everyone?
that's. Let's see.
I'm excited about potential experiments and observations in the future that will bring us closer to the truth. I believe God is bringing us closer to the truth. We live in the last days, and I'm not saying like next year or 100 years. We don't know when the Lord will return, but in these last days, to use the New Testament phrase, I believe God is giving us the evidence we need to reassure us that Jesus is Lord, that he rose from the dead, and that God's word can be trusted.
Okay. So anyway, that's what he got from this whole Big Bang article, right? Now you read the article and you see if you get that Jesus is giving us messages about cosmology and trying to straighten us out and showing us in these end times, it's like, I'm not saying it's like 50 or 100 years. We don't know, but maybe 175 years, it's like,
No,
Anyway.
but I get the feeling. I get the feeling it's sometime soon. It's going to be soon, soon and very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be soon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was a missionary Baptist kid in 1979 again.
Anyway, so Andrew, what can you tell us about stretchy space and not stretchy matter, and the fact that we don't stretch with space? That's always a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how to best demonstrate this. Do you have your sketchy notepad thing with you still?
I do.
Might make it easier to illustrate.
I do have my sketchy notepad. Let's see if it works. iPad, good notes. So let's see. Get rid of that.
This just in, I have an announcement. I think we have a winner. We're going to send Command Cyborg a toaster. As soon as I get all the old burnout crumbs out of it, I will send you a toaster for coming up with the name of the Big Bang model. According to that's the one that Leo anyway has been using in the past, Lambda CBM model.
I think he means Lambda CDM model.
CDM, okay.
Yeah, the
I'm
D
sure he
for
does.
dark matter.
But I'm so glad he came up with that. It's a big relief. I hate it.
I
when
also
can't
put
think
in
of
the
name of
side
something.
chat too. So
let's see. Hang on a second. I have to maybe redo this.
I don't know. I don't know how to position things according to the camera.
Oh, those ads with, or wait, was it Coke or was it Pepsi? I can't remember. Oh, okay, you mistyped. All right, no problem.
Cold dark matter. Okay, I'm glad to know what that means.
Why is he saying CBM? It's CDM for cold dark matter, but nope, he mistyped. All right, you are forgiven, Command Cyborg, for your error. Haha.
It feels so much better to know the answer to that.
We are having technical problems.
Uh-oh.
And they are not.
So what's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage of choice, Andrew?
I guess milk or juice, or I don't know.
Milk
I like
or juice.
milk.
So you don't drink soda?
No, I don't drink soda. I don't
Good
drink
for you.
alcohol, obviously.
Mine is green tea and water. I do like water with ice in it.
Well, I can't drink alcohol anymore, so
you can't. Oh shit!
I can't. Not for any kind of ethical or spiritual or religious reason. Just because my poor pancreas can't take it anymore.
Ah. Well, this is the weirdest thing ever. I am not. I am not able to get my iPad to work today, and I don't know that. Yeah.
Do you have an alternative drawing mechanism?
Did you do an iOS update on your iPad?
I think so. I think that happened automatically, but I'm not sure. Well, let's see if I can. Windows Server cursor. Ooh,
I mean,
Windows
I could
Server.
just spout words out of my mouth, but it would be more intuitive if I could describe it as you're drawing it.
Yeah, it's not happening today, and I don't know why. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Don't make no sense. I know my operating system did upgrade. Oh no, not that. Oh no. Oh my. Well, let me work on that while you try to verbalize, because that's all we got.
Okay. So I guess while backstage we were talking about I was talking about the intuitive way of looking at it, and the conceptual way of looking at it. Basically, the more intuitive way of looking at why the universe as a whole expands, while the matter within galaxies and so. Oh, you have it working? Oh, uh-oh.
Whoops. Whoops.
Oh, he's back.
I'm screwing everything up here. I'm working on it, guys. Working on it. Okay. Got it working. We're working.
Okay.
I don't know how to draw very well, but we'll try. What do you want?
Okay. So, all right, let's see. How do I want to draw this? Or how do I want you to draw this? Is that like a gravity well or something?
Yeah. Is that not what you want?
Oh no. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just gonna use the conveyor belt analogy that I used. Okay, so draw a straight line, horizontal.
Whoops. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, let's see. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. So a straight line, horizontal.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Now with a different color, put a sphere on the left and a sphere on the right, not too far apart.
Not too far apart.
Yeah, you might want to make them bigger than that, but oh well. That's okay. And I guess link them in some way. Maybe put like a rubber band between them.
Rubber band between them. Okay. But a
know.
little stretchy thing like that.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right. Let's see. And to the opposite. Okay, we're gonna need some scale of distance here. So let's see. All right. In a different color, or a different color now. All right. So put one tick mark. We're gonna pretend this is like a ruler, basically. So we're gonna put one tick mark at either end.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, there we go. Tick mark at the other end and just space them evenly apart.
Okay. Well, they're kind of even. There's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I mean throughout the line.
I didn't know. I'm not sure what you mean.
Like throughout the horizontal line.
Oh, okay. So
just put tick marks throughout it like a ruler. Maybe make more of them. I don't know.
Okay.
Get a sense of scale of distance here. Just get
we have a grid. We have a grid. I don't know if you can see my grid or not, but there is a grid.
There we go.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go.
All right. Okay. That'll work. Okay. So let's just say that the sphere at this or the sphere to the left is at tick mark number 2, and the sphere to the right is on tick mark. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7.
7. Okay. Tick mark 7. So they're separated by 5 units.
Yep. So we have 5. Okay.
All right. Now, this might be any way you could like duplicate it or
stretch it. Duplicate it?
Yeah, like duplicate or wait, or you might have to just draw it again. Okay, so draw the line with just the tick marks again this time, and
Okay.
don't label.
Okay.
There's a method to my madness here, and I'm sort of kind of
Okay.
trying to figure out how I want to play it.
So tick marks again.
Yeah.
And one. Oh, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I kind of drew too many tick marks, but
That's okay. Just as long as they're.
Good question, Andrew. Is this something that you've been learning in class in your college studies?
Nope, not really.
Oh, okay. I thought, what a great way to reinforce what you've been learning is to explain.
Well, this is kind of a common example of illustrating it, but it's not unique to me.
Okay, what do we do now?
Let's see.
A sphere at 1 or 2?
Let's see. How many tick marks are there in total?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15. So 14 you could figure if you want to keep it.
All right. How do I want to do this? So
You should be wrong, Andrew.
I know it would be so much easier.
Yeah, it would be easier. Do you want me to drop a sphere at 2 again?
Yeah. Okay.
You sure about that? Okay. There's a sphere. Okay.
All right.
The other ones are a little ellipsoid. I'm sorry, but I'm not that good at this. Now where do we want one? We got 7.
Okay, I might be just confusing it with this second graphic. Maybe we just want to stick with the first one.
So you want me to erase my second graphic, which I worked so diligently on.
I'm sorry. I thought it would be helpful with it, but I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. So just sticking with this this first graphic here. Let's say that these two blue spheres right here are 2 galaxies. Or wait, no. Let's just say they're 2 thingamabobs. Okay, so they're 2 thingamabobs made of matter. And since they're made of matter, they're connected by the force of gravity, which is represented here by this red rubber band.
Okay. There's a technical term. I have to write down the technical terms. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I guess maybe like an arrow pointing to the rubber band saying, "Oh, this is gravity."
That's gravity?
Yeah, that's gravity.
Okay, we'll give it a G.
There we go. All right. So the rubber band there is gravity now. All right. All right. Maybe to either side. Okay, so to the left sphere on the left of that sphere, I guess, put an arrow facing the opposite direction, and then do the same thing for the other one to illustrate the expansion.
So like that. So basically we have expansion.
No, on either side of them. So one arrow on one side of the sphere to the right, and then the arrow on the opposite side of the sphere to the left. There we go, like that. And like that. There we go. Okay.
Opposing forces.
Yep. Okay. So let's say so this is kind of the sort of simplistic, intuitive way of why galaxies and solar systems and matter doesn't expand with the expansion of the universe as a whole. We can think of it as there's this thing tying the individual pieces of matter together. In this case, gravity, but it could also be the electromagnetic force between atoms, or the forces within the atoms, or things like that. And they're just tying these individual packets of matter, thingamabobs, together. And it resists the expansion. So as the tick marks move apart from one another, they're linked together, so they stay in the same place, even though the units get farther and farther apart as a whole, the it kind of snaps back basically. So that's kind of the intuitive way of understanding this.
And the other thing I read is that
really.
gravity has a shorter. Basically, it's much stronger locally, or something.
Yeah.
Is that
Well, yeah, because gravity decreases as the distance squared increases.
We have Leophilius with us
Hello.
here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Leo about to bash all of my illustrations are probably
No,
very nice.
I actually took my time finishing up with after shower things that I was doing because you were in here. I was like, Andrew's got it. I can take my time.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. We can nerd out about this, I guess. So
Yeah,
I don't know if I did a good job explaining that, but that's kind of why I don't really like this illustration personally, because you can explain it this way, but does it really mean anything?
What are we trying to explain?
Okay, we're talking about why we aren't expanding at the same rate as space is expanding, or
Because we're not at that scale.
Yeah.
When cosmologists say space is expanding, it's not like there's like a physical thing that's expanding. It's more the scale of space expands. So if it's an expansion of its scale, you're only going to measure that at that scale. We're not at that scale. So it's sort of like the Earth is a sphere, but if I were to just take a ruler to the ground outside, it's going to lay flat with the ground. If I took a level, like an actual construction level, and laid it on the road, obviously, the ideal road here, it's kind of a contrived hypothetical, but it's going to read level because we don't experience the Earth at a large enough, intuitively at a large enough scale to measure in the perceptive sense its curvature. It's the same thing with the expansion of space. It happens at a scale so far beyond what we exist at, we're not going to be capable of perceptively experiencing it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I actually see what you mean. Wow.
And a good way, I actually have a rubber band here. Here, let me take my take the blur on the background off. So this is a little better. I don't know, Speed, if you can make me full screen here, because I made this rubber band specifically for instances like this. So if you have got a line here in the middle, you have all these other lines. Notice how the further two lines are away from each other, the faster they move away from each other.
Yeah.
Because between, say, these two lines, there's not that much rubber band, but between this line and, say, this line, there's much more rubber band to be stretched. So that's what the expansion of space-time is like. So you see that center line that's like right under my nose? I'm trying to keep as I can here, at least. You'll notice that it's, again, ideal situation here. I'm not perfect. It's not, quote unquote, it's not really moving. Like, so this is why if anywhere in the universe, you're going to observe that you're in the center, because that's a scalar expansion. It's an expansion. Okay. Well, not scalar in the mathematical sense, but it's an expansion of the scale of space-time.
Wonderful. To put it in a more technical sense, what Leo is describing here is Hubble's redshift distance relationship with the galaxies we observe. So to put more detail on that.
So are we taking any questions right now, Speed? We have a...
I was listening. I thought I heard Speed say something earlier that Sal is now a cosmologist at a university.
No, not Sal.
No, that was someone else.
Oh, I was going to say, because that's not an accredited university, if that's true, because he does have a Master of Science in Physics, I believe, but he's not a cosmologist.
Applied physics, yeah.
Is this guy right here, Disney, Michael J. Disney? I think, let's see, where's he at here? Open link in new tab. Let's see what his credentials are.
Can you link that to me? Because you linked it to me in text, but I can't access my text messages on my MacBook. Is there any way you could throw that in a private chat, quick, Speed?
Yeah.
Now we have a question from Top Dog that I, of course, don't have the capacity to answer.
Yeah, basically, Top Dog, yes. On very local scales, galactic scales, you can say that the gravitational attraction of matter of any kind is stronger relative to the large scale expansion. That's what I was trying to put there to a failed effort.
A good example of that, the idea that Top Dog is showing there is, the moon orbits the Earth, even though the sun has greater gravity than the Earth, because the moon is that much, it's significantly more local relative to the Earth than it is relative to the sun. So naturally, since it's closer to the Earth by a significant amount than it is to the sun, even though the sun has way greater gravity, the effect on the moon is going to come primarily from the Earth. But that isn't to say that there aren't extraordinarily small gravitational effects that the sun puts on the moon, because it does.
Okay, so Michael Disney is emeritus. Is that how you say that? Does that have to do with Wizard of Oz? I
What?
don't know.
No, he's emeritus professor.
Emeritus. Okay, is
Yeah,
that
now, a
Wizard of
professor
Oz?
emeritus, I believe, is somebody who's not like. Okay, I'm gonna have to look this up. It's
He's like
it's not
essentially
like an
retired.
honorable oh, what is it?
Yeah.
It's like you're not. I don't know. It's like you retired, but like you still maybe kind of teach a little bit. So yeah,
Retired,
emeritus in its
respected,
current
and-
usage is an adjective used to designate a retired chair, professor, pastor, bishop, pope, what have you, or other person who has been permitted to retain as an honorary title the rank of the last office held.
Yeah, and I think they keep him on for like writing purposes and things like that. For
Anyway,
the glory.
he has done research in pulsars and quasars, and his main interest is in galaxies and in designing novel instruments to observe things at many wavelengths. So the man is real, and Sel just loved his article because it gave him a lot of cherry pick quotes. So this is
Yeah, it's like I don't think this article does what you think it does.
yeah.
So
Sal.
there's a couple of things I'd like to say. I just went to his Wikipedia page. He is an astrophysicist, but given his specialty, which seems to be largely on like certain exotic objects and perhaps maybe a little bit of galactic dynamics, I don't know if it would be appropriate to really consider him a cosmologist, which is a specialized area in astrophysics. It also says here, Disney was a professor at Cardiff University until his retirement in 2005. Disney is an outspoken critic of the theory of cosmic inflation.
Yep.
And there's like maybe 6 cosmologists in total that are. So, I mean, it's not like that really matters.
But, he's worth listening to because the guy is not a creationist, and he's not coming at us from the Bible. And he's actually, pointing out the problems, that we have yet to address in the theory. So anyway.
Hey, Speed, could I try my other attempt at the other way of explaining the expansion?
Sure.
So if you can go back to your notepad, I have a more concrete image in my mind of what I want you to draw now. So I want you to draw a 5x5 box on one side and the same 5x5 box on the other side.
In a second here. Okay. So we got we gotta get a pen. Okay, so we got a 1, 2, 3, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 5. And I'm not good at this.
That's
We
okay.
know that, right?
It'll be okay.
Okay, and then another one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 5. Okay. Yeah,
All
2
right.
boxes.
So in the first box, I want you to put a little tiny piece, like a little dot at each of the vertices of the points.
All of them?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. And the other one?
Well, I mean, in all of them. Has to be evenly spaced.
Well, do
No,
they have
not the second one, the first one.
Okay. Well, you said all of them. Okay. I do
No,
what
I
I'm
meant
told.
all of them in the first square. I'm sorry.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so that's considered that. Yeah. So in the second box, let's see, put a bigger dot, like more representing more mass in one corner of it, and then a teeny little dot in the other corner of it.
Okay.
Okay, so the first box here represents the approximate distribution of mass energy on the largest scales of the universe. Okay, I don't know if you want to label it something like that or just to keep track of things. So that's the large scale universe.
Okay.
And on the second box, we have, I guess, like a miniature little local solar system scale universe, or model universe, I should say.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. That has the same acronym. Local.
Maybe
Okay.
put small scale universe. So it's a large scale universe on one side. And
We'll call it a LOCAS-U. A LOCAS-U.
okay. All right. So according to this is the conceptual way of thinking about, which in my mind at least is more explanatory. I don't know about everyone else though, but basically in the first box, the large scale universe, according to the mathematics of general relativity, when you plug this kind of situation in, where at each point in space-time there is an approximately even distribution of mass and energy. So every point has about the same energy density there. When you carry out that situation mathematically through the Einstein field equations, you get a scale, like Leo was saying, basically for space-time, more precisely a metric for space-time that is dynamic, that is, it's expanding. So on the large scales where galaxies are basically spread out pretty evenly, that's where you get expansion because it fits the criteria. On the local scale universe where there's one large thing there and a smaller thing there and it's not evenly distributed, you don't see that. You get a different solution from the equations where the metric is not expanding. So therefore you don't see expansion on small scales because the mathematical solution that does involve expansion doesn't apply to the scales we're seeing here, which is kind of a more detailed way of phrasing what Leo was saying. But
Yep.
in my mind, like I said, I think that's more technical explanatory.
Speed, do you know when you Google search for an image and it brings it up just kind of like in that side tab, do you know how to inflate the image bigger without going to the website, which then doesn't let you click on the image to make it bigger in its own tab? How do I do that?
No, you can't. And
Well, you used to be able to. How come you can't anymore? What happened?
Really used to be able to?
Yeah,
Well,
you used to be able to click the image, and instead of bringing you to the website, it would just bring you to an expanded version of the image in a separate tab. Now it just brings you to the website, and then the website doesn't actually allow you to click the image to make it look any bigger. It's fucking
Really?
stupid. Holy
Well,
shit.
What I normally do is save them. So let's see.
Because I want to share a picture here, but it's so small on the Google. Oh my God. Jeez. Why are humans so fucking stupid and they can't make anything right? Holy shit, this is so frustrating.
I know. Okay, so if I click on this, what is happening right now? Wait, oh shit. It went to an ad. What is it doing to me?
What the fuck is this?
I don't know what this is. On the third day, Zombie
What I hate is
Jesus.
when they make it right, and then a few years or months later, they change it and screw it all up.
Okay, so this is what I get, and then you have to go to the site. And what I normally do is I go to the site, and then I actually copy the image onto my computer, and then I pop it up in PDF, and then I enlarge it. But yeah, it's a devil. So
I got to try to find the fucking picture again.
I can do that.
You find it on Google one time, and then the next time you search the same exact thing in the same exact Google search engine, it's in a completely different. Google is just shit.
Yes, well, it's because you search for something, so they refine the search. So every time you touch your computer, ooh, I like this one. Look at this zombie Jesus.
Huh.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like him.
That's creepy.
Well, he was beat up pretty bad, according to the stories.
Zombie Jesus.
I do want to note that Nestlig and Iron Charioteer have some questions in the side chat. Just letting everyone know.
Oh, so how far do I have to go back? So I got one by Iron Charioteer. Why does gravity create accretion disks, galaxies, and planets? Accretion disks, or is he talking about disks rather than a globe?
I think he's
or
talking
spheres?
about
He's talking
like
about accretion disks.
Okay, if you have
he's talking about active galaxies like quasars.
Well, I mean, stars have accretion disks around them too, and so can planets when
Right.
they form. He's asking why is it that when matter accretes onto an object, it always does it as a disk that slowly falls onto the object, and that's because of what gravity is: a shear stress through the dimension of time, which rotates 4 vectors through the dimensions of space, such that 2 objects attract each other if they're massive enough.
But is it-
So what
isn't
this means is that if you have an object, a massive object in space-time, and you have something moving past it, because of the shear through the dimension of time, the closer you get to the object, the closer part of the object is going to start moving more slowly, resulting in an orbit around the object as the material accretes onto it. So it is just a fundamental, because the thing is, gravity is more a result of time than it is of space, which is why it blows my mind when people say, well, time isn't actually real. Well, then what the fuck is gravity?
But it has to do with angular momentum, right?
Well, no, it has to do with the shear stress through the dimension of time. Because something is moving more slowly, closer to the object, but more quickly, further away from the object, it's going to start going around the object.
When I read a thing on the formation of solar systems, it said it was basically it works all with angular momentum. It's going to end up flattening into a disk.
Well, the
Conserve
flattening
angular
of the thing into a disk is a result of angular momentum conservation. But the reason that it accretes in a circular or in an orbital manner onto the object, like rarely is an object just going to go onto another. It's going to come around
It's
it
gonna
and
be
fall on
rotating.
because
It's
of the shear stress through the dimension of time.
Yeah,
Which is what causes
just by the way things collide, there's always an angular momentum, and then it's conserved, so it flattens out into a disk.
I
And
guess I
Saul
misread
Cordova-
his question. Sorry.
Saul Cordova said that doesn't make any sense, and he's supposed to be a physicist, and I think that's simple mechanical physics. That you end
Doesn't
up
say that. What doesn't make sense?
that disks would form instead of spheres. That if something is rotating, and basically through time it forms a disk because of the angular momentum. He claims that doesn't make any sense. That God had to do it.
Well, because he's not a physicist.
Well, he's got degrees in physics. He has.
But yeah, he's not a
Applied
gravitational physicist or anything.
I don't know. I'm not
It has
sure.
to be a different. What's the difference between applied physics and the kind of physics where you deal with gravity and time dilation and?
Well, applied physics
Stress.
is just broadly referring to the kinds of physics that we apply in our everyday lives to learn things. I am sharing, at least I thought I was sharing my screen.
Oh no, I didn't see
to
it.
share this
quickly,
dot
iron
thing.
charioteer. No, gravity does not always create circular objects or orbits. It can also create elliptical orbits.
Oh my god, I am just ready to throw this worthless computer away. I am just so ready.
Oh, let's see.
It says Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. To fix it, go to System Preferences. When I never shut that off. I never shut that off.
This is
I was sharing my screen 2 days ago.
Mac Tourette's.
No, it's just
I have
shitty
Tourette's.
fucking technology built by stupid human beings.
Yeah.
So hopefully now this works.
Why are we making fun of Stephanie?
I don't know. I'm not sure. When you fall off a cliff, space is in reality pushing you down. And he asked her if she fell off the cliff today. So anyway, okay. So what else?
Okay, Speed, now I have an issue. It won't let me select or unselect any of the things. It's checked for Discord, OBS, and Zoom, but not for Google Chrome, and it won't let me check it.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck is going on right now.
I don't know. I've got another wonderful zombie Jesus picture, though. Why didn't I search for these before? These are awesome. Yeah, I don't know. You mean you can't check inside of Google Chrome? You can't check
Yeah, the box, to check the box to allow screen recording with Google Chrome, it won't let me check the box. But it won't let me uncheck any of the other boxes either.
Sounds like you might be denied permissions. Do you have a level of permissions inside Chrome?
admin on the laptop, but I never shut this off. How did it get shut off?
Well, this is.
I know what the issue is. It's because I'm trying to share it from preview.
Did you get an update on your iOS?
No.
Yeah, I updated my operating system recently. I'm still waiting for the fallout from that. So Zombie Jesus, Crown of Thorns, he loves you. Signs of having been whipped, nailed, speared, starved, and dehydrated. He's a leader of a worldwide cult that drinks his blood and eats his flesh. Failing to love him and follow his rules results in being burned forever. We're going to hell, aren't we?
Probably.
Yeah, we are going to hell.
If such a thing exists and it's ruled over by the kind of God in the Bible, then perhaps.
Well, I just reported what was on this website. I did not write this. So, okay, I just want to point that out. Jesus.
That's true.
If Jesus is listening, it's not my fault. I'm just showing you what's on the thing. Sorry.
It could be that there's a hell, but that the actual God that exists doesn't like over-scrupulous religious people.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking forward to hell because I have a theory that you cannot feel pain forever, that it goes away within like 30 seconds. Any particular pain, if it does not change subjectively, will not be pain anymore. And so I'm waiting to find that out. Leo's back. You rebooted, Leo?
Yeah.
It tells you that it's going to shut down Google Chrome and then reopen your tabs. And then when it reopens Google Chrome, it just doesn't open your tabs again. Just fucking Christ.
Oh, mine only does if I shut down my operating system, it'll reopen the tabs. But yeah, there's no good option on Google Chrome.
Well, it should be sharing now after 15 fucking minutes because Macs are the dumbest things on the face of the planet.
There you go.
That is the expansion of space-time. We're the center dot.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, your rubber band makes a lot of sense. That's pretty cool. So I like that one.
Yeah, I got that from Michelle Thaler on The Universe, which was a show on, I think, like the Discovery Channel or something.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Was that wasn't that history?
I don't know. That's why I said I thought it was on the Discovery Channel.
The TV show, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was on the History Channel.
Oh,
pretty sure it was on. At least when
Yeah,
I was
I did
watching
like
it on
that show.
DirecTV, it came through the Discovery.
In my opinion, that show was better than the ones they have nowadays, like How the Universe Works and all this.
I actually did like
and
How
stuff.
the Universe Works. The ones I didn't like were like Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman and Into the Universe with Stephen Hawking, because the one Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman was decent, but they like I do not agree with science popularization. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like science communication. Communicate the science. Quit trying to make it sound as cool as you possibly can.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We have
Which is
something
why-
just in. This is hot off the press. Apparently, Gromania has read a book.
Yeah.
Isn't that surprising? No, he looked at a picture in a book. Okay, that's about all we can say from that.
That makes sense. That
Okay.
makes more sense.
I did
yeah.
see a question from Nestlig earlier about cosmic inflation. If I can have a go at that. This is
Could we
good. We're
find
getting all
that?
space questions today. We finally got some
Space
content.
questions. Oh, come on. Biology is the only content we need.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, Nestle, right mouse click the image on Google. Okay, I think I'm way back. So
Apparently,
I have no
Aaron
idea.
Charioteer shares a bathroom with the math department of some college somewhere.
Really? Okay, here we go.
Talking about
This
one of
one?
those like shower curtains.
Is
Yeah,
this
there we
it?
go. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, if I am not mistaken, cosmic inflation at this point is a simple explanation for some observations, but is not yet tested. Could be a planet Vulcan thing back in the day. It's kind of, sort of, not testable.
depends on what you
but
mean
it also
by
means that
tested.
it has been tested because well, actually, pretty recently there were the bicep free results, which they're kind of looking for these primordial gravitational waves in the cosmic microwave background. and they haven't found any yet, and they have been able to rule out some very simple cosmic inflation models that are out there, which doesn't mean that cosmic inflation as a whole is completely ruled out, only that if it does exist, it's much more complicated than we previously thought. So in that sense, we are currently actively investigating and testing it through these predictions, namely primordial gravitational waves. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It's hard for me to answer the question because I would need to know what he means by test. In some strict scientific sense, I think I could say that we've tested inflation.
I think there's a whole lot of observations, aren't there? Like, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know what I'm
Here,
saying.
let me see if I can find
Well,
this.
there's, I guess, a strict way of putting it. There are observations. There's circumstantial evidence that is consistent with inflation, but is also broadly consistent with other models. There's no direct observational evidence for inflation specifically.
Yeah.
Like things like the flatness problem, the horizon problem, the magnetic monopole problem. Inflation solves those, but that doesn't necessarily mean that inflation itself is the correct explanation.
Yeah. So Germania did 2 really good streams this weekend. One with Pat Longer was on. That was probably worth watching. I thought it was pretty cool. People should check that out. Pat Longer was talking about the habit of defacing other religions' idols. Like the Christians would go in apparently and they would spit on the pagan temples. And then the Christians would get beat up and they'd throw them out, and then they'd come back and do it again. And then they did it again. And then they executed them. And then they said, martyr. So,
yeah, basically the lesson is that whatever religion you have, it's not that far away from thuggery.
well, this is exactly like a Karen trying to go into Walmart without a mask, getting thrown out, comes back, gets thrown out again, comes back, raises hell, gets arrested, martyr.
Yeah.
So like the Christians were back then, they were like, that's where the original Karens came from. They'd run in and spit on your whatever, your god, a statue of a god or whatever. And people get offended by that shit. You know, I've never gone into a church and spit on the altar or the cross. Never felt the urge to do that. I don't know.
So I wanted to go through some slides from my debate with Kent Hovind about inflationary cosmology, because it depends on what you mean by test. If you want to say, can we test for it? What do you mean by test? I mean, it solved the flatness problem, and the flatness problem is essentially why is the universe like near perfectly spatially flat? Well, because it underwent inflation very early in its history, such that to people like us, we look at the universe, it's going to either be near perfectly flat or flat. It also solves the horizon problem.
You might want to clarify what you mean by flat there in this context.
Well, that's why I have these things here as well. Like flatness refers to geometric flatness.
Yeah.
If you draw a triangle in space, all the angles are going to add up to 180 degrees. They're not going to add up to more or less.
Right.
I'm just checking because the audience may or may not understand what we mean by flat here. So just
Cartesian. Right.
And so the horizon problem states that, well, okay, why is it that we have like causally disconnected regions in our universe that look relatively the same? That doesn't see how could they look the same if they're causally disconnected? Well, if they were significantly closer together at some point and then something happened to, say, space-time, such that these regions became causally disconnected, we would have expected them to look the same because they were once significantly more local. And so inflation explains why we observe that. It also explains why we don't observe magnetic monopoles, which probably would have been created in the extraordinarily hot and energetic state of the very early universe. But they would have all decayed because they would have been stretched so far away from one another that they would have decayed before we would have even probably been around to observe them. So that, that's why we don't observe any magnetic monopoles. There's still a debate as to whether or not they exist. They probably do, and what exactly they are is not a rabbit hole I'm going to go down right now. So the direct evidence for inflationary theory, I don't know if one wants to consider these the tests of it. I would consider them tests or predictions made by the theory. We've confirmed them. I mean, that's kind of what it means to test an idea, to try to confirm the predictions it makes via observations. So if inflation did indeed occur, there would have been a maximum temperature in the early phases of the universe's evolution that you wouldn't have been able to exceed. And that would have been roughly 10 to the 19th giga electron volts, which is a way that physicists can measure energy. And what we've seen is that in the Big Bang, the temperatures wouldn't have exceeded 10 to the 16th GeV, which is below the limit, the maximum limit, indicating that, when we observe these upper limit to these early temperatures, seems to suggest that inflation probably happened. Primordial fluctuations in the early universe. So the primordial quantum fluctuations happening in space-time directly correspond to the density perturbations in the distribution of mass energy in space-time, which seems to concord with what inflation would tell us about that when inflation occurred, those quantum fluctuations would have been stretched, and that would have, for a bunch of reasons, matter would have accumulated in these areas, and that would have resulted in the density perturbations that we see in the mass energy distribution. And that's what we see. Also, so I hear those density perturbations should be adiabatic, which means the entropy through them should be relatively constant, and to near 100%. So they should be almost perfectly adiabatic, and there should be practically no isocurvature in them at all, which means that the spatial curvature just remains constant. And when we've measured them, well, those perturbations are in fact adiabatic to almost 99% and are isocurved to almost 1%, which sits very, very well within what we would have expected. Again, providing powerful confirmation for inflationary theory. And then fluctuations on supercosmic horizon scales. The temperature fluctuations that we observe in the CMB should exist on scales beyond that of the cosmic horizon. And when we've measured certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Not modes. Because there's more than one way to measure the polarization of the CMB. I can't remember which one it is. It's either B mode or E mode polarization. I want to say B mode, but don't quote me on that. And when we look at these polarizations, they thoroughly indicate that these fluctuations do indeed exist far beyond the cosmic horizon, which again provides extraordinarily strong confirmation for inflationary theory. Now, as to what particular, here's another one. Do I have another one after? No, I don't. I couldn't remember how many I had. So if you want to consider this testing inflation, I would consider it testing inflation. I mean, inflation makes predictions about what we should see in reality, and then we see those predictions very, very accurately. Like they're very accurate predictions that we're making. So it would seem to me that there is a sense in which we can test for inflation, and that we seem to have confirmed it. The nature of inflation, how long did it last? When did it start? Exactly what processes did it undergo? Will it continue eternally into the future? Does it go on eternally into the past? We don't really have answers to these questions, but none of them matter to the fact that inflation, in whatever it may turn out to be, the idea that the universe underwent an extraordinarily rapid and exponential rate of expansion very, very early in its evolutionary history is something I would say has been thoroughly confirmed.
Cool. You should read that article anyway and see if that guy's got anything to consider. So,
well, I'm interested what Sal said on that article, actually.
Well,
one in American Scientist.
Okay, here's what Sal does: is he finds the parts where they say people ought to. I don't know. He finds a cherry pick quote and then he laughs and says, "Aha, proven, whatever." He does that over and over with his papers. It's mind numbing. He never digs into the actual meat of the paper.
But can you give me show an example at least? I want to see what you mean.
Okay, I could figure one out here.
Were you saying something, Leo?
No, I was just asking if he was talking about the American Scientist article.
Yeah, the American Scientist article by, or wait a minute, is that the one? Current Big Bang paradigm has it. Okay, whatever. Let's see. This understanding was much to two act. Okay, this understanding owes much to two accidents: astronomers' discovery of redshifts and some other accident. And then he'll laugh and point that out. and then he'll go on and point something else out. It's just you got to. I mean, listen to it yourself. If you find him saying anything substantial, let me know.
There's a quote in this article that is really funny. It's talking about the horizon problem here. And he says, this difficulty was virtually unadmitted until 1981. And this is the funny part. When Alan Guth suggested a vague conceptual... Tell me you haven't read Guth's 1981 paper without telling me you haven't read Guth's 1981 paper. He literally lays out the mathematics quite specific. What the fuck do you mean, vague conceptual solution? Oh, man, and then he wants to bitch at the other scientists might not be objective. What the fuck is this, then? Are you kidding me?
So this guy has an axe to grind with Big Bang.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people just don't like inflation for whatever reason. I don't know. I just don't think a lot of people like that Alan Guth like single-handedly pioneered it, and they're mad that they don't get that glory.
Yeah.
And so they want to try to prove it wrong so that they can.
Yep.
Well, I guess my opinion is inflation is very successful. I'm just a bit more cautious with saying it's confirmed per se. I think
I just quote the cosmologists that I've talked to. Like Ethan Siegel will tell you, it's confirmed. Alan Guth has essentially said inflation is confirmed. We don't expect inflation to be false. The mechanisms of it, how long it lasts, when it starts, when it ends, does it start, does it end? Now, those are questions we can't answer. Did it happen? Almost certainly, yes.
And he talks about dark matter.
Now, I know a lot of people in science don't like to talk about science as if it makes definitive statements, but I think this is honestly bad science communication. And the reason I think that is because most people try to argue against science by saying, well, science can't prove things. So I think it's worthwhile to say, well, yes, it can. It just doesn't do it the same way that mathematics does. But that mathematics doesn't have a monopoly on proof, nor does logic. We prove things legally. When somebody says, well, prove it to me, they're not saying, well, give me a deductive axiomatic syllogism that logically draws the conclusion. That's not what they're asking for. They're saying, give me really, really good evidence such that rejecting the conclusions of this might not be, it could be false, but there isn't any reason to think that it is. That's what most people say, or what they mean when they talk about proof. I think it's good to say that science can prove things, and I would say that, I don't know if I would say inflation has been proven, but I would say it has certainly been confirmed, unless one wants to consider confirmation and proof in this context to mean the same thing. Then, yeah, inflation has been proven. We don't know much about it. It's kind of like dark matter. Is it there? Yeah, like it's 100% a fact that we've proven it's there. Well, what is it? We don't know that, but we know it's there. It would be like picking up a box. You shake the box and you hear an object in it. You've proven there is something in the box. You might not know what it is, but there's something in it. Same
coffee cup up, and I know it's there. I've proven the coffee cup is here.
What really drives me up the wall.
There's this idea of proof and truth with a capital P and a capital T, or reality with a capital R. And philosophers, they want to make it like bigger than it is. Proof is just really, proof and reality are more surface level and more available to us. We don't need to capitalize proof, reality, or truth. I know it's true. I have a cup of coffee.
I'm confused by what that means to capitalize them. I guess that what do we mean to capitalize?
Philosophers will talk about reality, right? Like, and then they'll start talking about perception, and they'll start coming up with 100 reasons why we shouldn't trust reality, and they're reaching for reality with a capital R. And I'm saying that no, you don't have to reach that far. So,
can I respond to what Otangelo was saying in the chat here?
But first, you need to tell us what sets you off or what makes you mad. You said something about that earlier, just a second ago.
Were you talking?
I'll say that.
Okay. I could listen to the yakety sax all day long.
I gotta play the whole chorus. Everybody gets impatient on the last 5 seconds. I have a particular.
I did want to say really quickly, I don't really know any philosophers other than like the Bernardo Kastrup types, like the idealist types, which is an extraordinarily small amount of philosophers that say we can't understand reality. Most philosophers I talk to define reality the same way physicists do, largely the external world that we have perceptive access to.
Yeah, you're talking about contemporary philosophy. I'm going back. Philosophy of the mind is particularly one where you'll dredge up all the shit from basically the 15th century through the.
Yeah, I just don't care about philosophy from back then. I don't think most philosophers do, largely anyway, especially in the analytic tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, obviously they have respect for some of the things they wrote down, and there are some ideas from well over 2,000 years ago that are still important today. But I think largely, like all the ideas of all the philosophers from thousands of years ago, I don't think most analytic philosophers are going to consider a lot of what they have to say, just because we've developed their ideas so much since then.
Yeah. So, World Video Bible School. I have not looked at this video. But
what? World Video, but that's a name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I say what I want to say to it, Angelo?
Kyle Butt, is that the guy?
Yeah. Can you highlight his comment about inflation?
What was his comment?
Or, well, the second comment he said, I believe.
I'm not aware that Kyle Butt commented on inflation.
Leo talks nonsense.
No, before that.
Nobody knows how to decelerate it to transition to.
Yes, we do. It's called slow roll inflation.
Slow roll and reheating. It's probably that's how inflation ended. Now,
what's up, Angelo?
Citing the literal single-handed pioneer of inflation, Alan Guth, he'll tell you, we might. It's an idea about how it ended, and it worked. I mean, it makes sense. It might not be correct, but it makes sense. We can get it to work. But the thing is, once inflation gets going, what people like Alan Guth will say, and others like Will Kinney and Ethan Siegel, is that once inflation gets going, you can't really stop it. So that's why a lot of I wouldn't say this is true of most cosmologists, but there is I would say perhaps a growing number of them that think that inflation probably is eternal. Whether into both the past and the future or just the future is not really important here, but they do think that it's probably there is at least a growing amount of them that think that it's probably eternal. I think that could be the case. With respect to whether or not that means that there is a multiverse, I think the whole idea of a multiverse is metaphysically bankrupt. That's just my personal opinion on that. I think metaphysically the concept of the multiverse makes absolutely no sense. It's just incoherent.
Tangelo, which papers have you read beyond Alan Guth? Because that was
probably his original result.
That is not a problem with the more modern, I guess, models of inflation. Like Leo was just saying, you can say that if inflation in the larger universe with a capital U is ongoing, but no one disagrees that based on this slow roll inflation, you can get parts of that universe to stop inflating in such a way that it looks exactly like our observable universe, our little patch of reality, basically. So I'd like to see your citation on that, please.
Yeah.
Because I have a strong feeling that you have not looked very deeply into this.
So let me just read this from the Wikipedia page so that we can educate Otangelo here a little bit.
Sure.
The bubble collision problem was solved by Linda and independently by Andreas Albright and Paul Steinhardt in a model named new inflation, or slow roll inflation, as our good friend Andrew here has already explicated. Guth's model then became known as old inflation. In this model, the new inflation model, instead of tunneling out of a false vacuum state, inflation occurred by a scalar field slow rolling down a potential energy hill.
Yep.
When the field rolls very slowly compared to the expansion of the universe, inflation occurs. However, when the hill becomes steeper, inflation ends and reheating can occur. Slow roll and reheating, which gave rise to what we call the Big Bang, the hot Big Bang.
Oh.
Yep. So,
it helps to actually understand the cosmology, at least at some level, if you're going to try to criticize it.
Before you start blathering.
Anyway, what were you going to say, Speed? Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there.
Oh, I can't remember.
I just want to educate Otangelo.
Oh,
Hey,
there
Speed,
was
before you get on, before we start with the Kyle Butt stuff, sorry, I didn't realize what I just said. There's a teaser trailer to a documentary about Matt Powell that somebody shared in the side chat. It's only like 43 seconds long. So
bring it.
Okay. Do you want me to share?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Up to you. You can link me to it. Well, you should link me to it because I'm going to have to put it in my description.
Okay, I'll link you to it. I'll just put it in the private chat so I don't have to scroll back up.
There's also that documentary on Hovind. What was it called?
I've seen it somewhere, but I didn't realize it was legit.
The Weakness of Hovind. He's got
his brain.
It's by McKinnon Mitchell. It's got 11,000 views, and he only has 2,000 subscribers. Wow. What's up with that? So, anyway, okay. I see it, Scott.
Okay, sorry, Speed. One last thing. Okay, so he's now saying that the
title of my message
inhomogeneities in what we see in the matter distribution, or I should say mass energy distribution of the universe today. How does inflation explain that? Well, the answer is pretty simple. It explains it through quantum fluctuations in the initial inflation field.
Yes.
I don't know
that very hard to explain.
I don't think Otangelo understands that new inflation doesn't produce a perfectly symmetric universe, as Andrew just said, because of quantum fluctuations during inflation.
And I feel like we've just been copy pasted.
Probably he's probably copy pasting
from
from somebody who
seems
is
that way,
equally
I don't think
ignorant in cosmology as Otangelo is.
Yeah, Otangelo doesn't know anything about cosmology, for Christ's sake.
Well, should we let him in and let him defend himself? I don't know.
No.
I do just want to say, because I saw him put 5 messages in and they're all timed to the same minute. Please don't spam the chat.
Yeah. So he's copy pasting here. So Otangelo,
probably from his blog.
You know who we are about that. You know what happens. You know what secular pagan mom's going to do to you if you do that anymore. So anyway, okay. So we want to play this trailer.
Anyway,
yeah, actually,
yeah, let's play it.
Sure.
Today is true love through marriage. But I've seen a lot of people that really struggle in this area of true love. Do people look happy to you? They don't seem very happy. I'm just so insecure because he won't marry me. These effeminate little sissies. What a wimp! Hey, man up! Get up! Bunch of atheist losers. That's gonna make them feel insecure.
I love it.
That looked like a horrible pitch for what would have amounted to a horrible reality TV show.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for
Christians
that.
aren't into reality. Bada boom. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I just had to make a
naive question. Really I'm guessing Matt didn't actually make that trailer.
I doubt it.
No, Matt didn't make it.
No, this is a documentary about Matt.
Yeah, it's a documentary. I linked it in the description. So you guys
documentary about Matt Powell.
Some guy named Mitchell McLennan.
Yeah.
From Christianity with Love teaser trailer. I put it in the description. Anyway, this 6 Reasons Not to Believe in Evolution has 124,000 views, 284,000 subscribers on this channel for Worldwide Bible School Video, World Video Bible School, WVBS. How appropriate. I don't know. I thought maybe I think it's 9 minutes long. You want to give it a listen? I have not listened to it. Have not previewed it. So.
Sure.
Nope. 2002 in Cobb County, Georgia.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. We need to compliment Scott on his hat. Thank you, Orge. Nice hat, Scott.
Okay, guys. Oh, thanks there, Andrew.
In the year.
Okay, you ready?
Yep. Oh, and now Leo's back. Okay, now we're ready.
Cobb
Pretty.
County, Georgia, there was a sticker that was placed on the inside cover of the biology textbooks. That sticker simply said that these textbooks contain information on evolution. Evolution is a theory, not a fact, about living organisms, and it should be looked at with an open mind, studied carefully, and critically considered. Do you know if you
It's
were to
both.
take the sentiments of that sticker and you were to look at the evidences for evolution with an open mind and you studied them
Can you
carefully
pause
and
really
critically
quickly?
consider them,
I love the way this guy looks.
What does the word evidences mean? I don't. What?
I don't know what evidences are. I think you get your one evidence and you put it on top of your other evidence, and like you pile your evidences. I don't
Like
know.
an evidence sandwich or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it's like lots of little evidences. I don't know. But
Remember
just
to put
look
your
at,
critical analysis in that sandwich of yours. Uh-huh.
okay,
what you would find is these evidences don't prove evolution at all.
don't they?
Here are 6 supposed evidences for evolution that simply are not good reasons to believe in evolution. Number 1.
Oh, I think I've seen this video.
Oh my goodness! Oh no, he isn't going to do that. Not vestigial organs. So in that book, The Whale, what is the name of it, Scott? Like a Whale? That book?
Yeah, it's
He talks
called Like a
about this-
Whale. It's definitely
Yeah, he
called.
talks about-
Let me hold it up to the
He has a
camera.
really good section on vestigial organs. So, yeah.
Almost like
Okay,
a
I do have to say some. Apparently, Pavel D. Paul, I think is what it's supposed to be. Hey, what the fuck? Who timed out Stephanie? Did somebody time Stephanie out?
No,
It
why-
says
why-
that Ian
okay,
Chen
fine.
did, but
I hope it was a misclick, if anything, because she's
Yeah.
done nothing wrong. Why was she timed
Yeah.
out?
Oh,
Hopefully
by the
she
way,
sticks around for the 5 minutes.
Ian Chen is going to debate Kent Hovind, I think, around the 5th or 6th of May.
May 5th, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Gotta
man,
watch that.
Randolph is here. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Randolph.
Hello. Yeah, so you guys are talking about Matt Powell there. Holy cow, that guy, he hates video games, I notice.
Does he?
Yeah, I want to debate him on that. He says video games are bad for people, and I'd like to argue that they're actually good for people, particularly the 8-bit games from the 80s.
You know what I would love to do? Debate him on that subject while sharing my screen during the debate while I'm playing RuneScape.
Hey, gotta have you partnered up with me for sure then. I can do most of the talking while you focus on your game. It'll be great.
I'll just be PKing people the whole time. Be like, oh man, Matt, I'm having so much fun just dropping these bodies like flies. You should come join me. So
Yeah, and then you can talk about how it applies to physics and cosmology and all kinds of stuff. And you can talk about the difference between Minecraft physics and RuneScape physics. And
Exactly.
What is it?
Well,
Why
I
does
saw
this
this
shit-
documentary once, and apparently aliens are training humans to shoot other alien spacecraft by using video games at arcades and things.
really,
Yeah, I saw that in a documentary back in the 80s.
I'd love to see that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. So you're mentioning about these people saying that they use this phrase, believe in evolution. And I've always, that's never set well with me because I don't think of science, various sciences, fields of science to be something that a person believes in. It's something that you learn and you can apply and you can understand reality better with it.
Yeah, it's knowledge. It's not, about belief or any of that shit.
Okay, it does seem Ian Chen timed out Stephanie unintentionally.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
The only person I think who can undo a time, I actually don't know if the owner of the channel can undo them. I actually don't know that.
No, you can't. I
Yeah.
don't think.
I
I
think
was
it's
going to say, I don't
pretty.
think you can.
Yeah, you have to wait it out.
Yeah,
You
I
can
mean, you,
wait
you can say you believe anything, but like you can. The way I look at it more is you accept something with good reason, or you could say you believe something with good reason or with good evidence. I don't think it's there are various ways you can say, oh, I believe this, I believe that, but one type of belief, if you want to call it that, isn't equal to another.
See, we
Well, to
can
me-
choose to believe the conclusions of studies and things like that and research, but when it comes to the science just works, or whether you believe it or not. So that other people have said that, and I'm quoting somebody. I don't know who I'm quoting.
Well, belief is like a thing your mind does as a tool when you if you believe you're falling down, you put your arms out, right? It's sort of a temporary thing. It doesn't have to be you don't have to build a fucking temple. Okay.
That's true.
When you're falling over, just put your arms down. I mean, reality is just right in front of us. It's not that
I
big
had
a
an
deal.
experience falling down. I have now created the religion of gravity.
Yeah, the gravity religion.
I think I was quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Like you got to go like that. Put your arms out. Praise
Yeah, that sounds
gravity.
familiar.
Anyway, I don't know if this guy's worth listening to, but what fucking kills me is he's got 125,000 views on this piece of shit, and he starts out talking about vestigial organs.
It cannot prove evolution. Number one, if you did have vestigial organs in your body, that wouldn't prove evolution. You see, evolution has to go from a single-celled organism.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, so
Vestigial organs in and of themselves don't show that evolution is definitively the case. Vestigial organs are one aspect of literally probably millions at this point that collectively concord with one model.
Well, no,
evolutionary biology.
The thing about vestigial,
add on to that, he's talking about, it proves evolution, but it seems like he's conflating common ancestry with the specific mechanism of evolution, which in this case, vestigial organs show we share common ancestry. They don't, and he's talking about, you need this upwards, whatever that means, evolution from ape to man or whatnot. And that's a slightly different topic than what it's trying to address. So
vestigial organs are strong proof, or strong evidence for evolution, because we can look across multiple vertebrates, right? And we can see these same structures. And in some vertebrates, they're big, huge, functioning, complex organisms. In other vertebrates, they're a lot tinier. Now, if you go and look at how the embryos for those two different animals developed, okay, you're going to find that the same patterns were used to produce the little one or the big complicated one. And you're going to find that there's something vestigial, that there is fossil evidence inside of how an embryo forms for other embryos. And that goes back to that Haeckel picture that I put up as today's thumbnail. Basically, when you start looking at the formation of, say, the kidney, you'll find all sorts of vestigial remains of the embryological history of that particular vertebrate line, right? So when you start looking at comparative anatomy between a number of different vertebrates, the closer related ones are very, they have the same patterns. And embryology is kind of a spatial game where you have something forming, and if it moves really fast, it'll stretch out and it'll be kind of long. But if it goes real slow, it'll be real tiny. And it all depends on something called morphogenetic fields, right? If you want to sound smart, take any word and add genesis to it. Morphogenesis, right? It makes you sound smarter than you are.
Leptogenesis.
Genesis.
Variogenesis. Axiogenesis.
YouTube-genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis.
Duke Genesis. Anyway.
Political genesis.
Yeah. So, you can see how these fields are set out and how very, very small modifications, very small mutations to the regulatory networks in cells can change drastically the forms of those organs. But the thing is that they're still very similar. They're just, different amounts. And that's why it's good evidence. It's not because, vestigial organ proof for evolution. It's not that fucking simple.
Some people are thinking. You go ahead, carry on. I didn't realize you're not finished.
No, I'm done. Done.
I've heard the people for a while were thinking the appendix is like a vestigial organ, but recently I was hearing that it's used for digesting things like grass and other kind of plant life, plant supply. I don't know. Yeah.
No, it's actually I believe it contains a little bit of a gut biome, and it has something to do with your biome in your gut.
Well, it's
and your
important
tonsils. Yeah, your tonsils still have. It doesn't mean when an organ is formed, like the kidney, for instance, it doesn't just have one function. It has about 8 functions, right? And the liver has about 600 functions. Okay.
Wow, 600.
So basically, if you lose most of them, well, there's 600 basically pathways in the metabolome, and I'm just guessing.
Okay.
It could be 300. I could be wrong, Randall. But anyway, so an organ is basically going to function to do a number of different things. And if 9 out of 10 of those things disappear and it shrinks down to the size of the appendix, you can see how that can happen with very small mutations over time. And that is evidence for evolution. And they can't deny that it is evidence for evolution, because it fucking is evidence for evolution.
And you see these organs in different forms in other animals and whatnot, I guess. And to me, it seems like my understanding is single cell organisms were around on the planet for a long, long time, long before multi-cell organisms.
3 billion years.
Yeah. So in a sense, I guess it could be, you could say that a single-celled organism is a lot more evolved than multi-cell organisms.
Well, the thing about single-celled organisms is, like, for the first 1 or 2 billion years, there wasn't really a species concept so much. There are all these very different individual organisms that were trading genes and eating each other and bumping into each other, and it becomes very blurry back there. And they're they have evolved. They're still evolving today and changing, but it's just that there are so many different kinds of them, and they tend to change more rapidly, I guess is what I would say. But yeah, they're highly evolved. And
you also mentioned the tonsils, and my understanding is that was kind of in the last few decades. It became more common knowledge publicly, at least to lay people like myself, that it's an important part of the immune system. It's kind of like the entry gate in a way. It almost acts like a gatekeeper.
But you can live without them,
Yeah.
It's just that they help, like any organ is going to help. And you're going to see that all over the body, all over the genome. You're going to see things that have like this much function or this much function. It's a spectrum, And
right,
thank you.
Huh?
Just right from the get-go, vestigial didn't originally mean without function. It just meant a rudimentary, smaller structure compared to its ancestral role. And that's the definition that Darwin used. Yeah, like the whale, completely without function or anything.
Yeah, like the pelvis of the whale or whatever, or the Hovind penis bones. They're still used. I mean, it doesn't make sense that it's going to disappear entirely, and that if it's around, it is going to have something to do with that organism.
Are they seriously called Hovind bones?
Hovind penis bones. Yeah, he always talks about the whale penis. He's famous for talking about the whale penis.
Oh, this isn't something.
Forget in the debate that I think it was with Godless Engineer, and he said something about a whale penis, and Godless Engineer was like, "Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that again?" And then Kent's like, "No, you heard what I said. You're trying to be perverted." And dude, GE's just dying laughing.
Well, he clipped it. He put it in his intro. The whale penis, 15 feet long.
Yeah, he had like a whole 2-minute video that was like a song. He put a beat on it and everything. It was classic.
Cool. Oh, you hadn't heard of that, Randall?
He put on a song about that. I haven't heard of this. This is hilarious.
Oh no, Hovind's always talking about the whale penis, and
oh my gosh,
they need those vestigial, basically hind leg bones and pelvis to mate. That they couldn't mate without it, and it's like, because the whale penis won't get hard without those bones. I don't think he says that, but he should.
So
these arguments have been around so long they can basically become memes.
They're memes, yeah.
Are these creationists claiming that vestigial? Are they using that word as meaning functionless?
Pretty much, yeah. Or they're saying we think it means that.
That is,
and yet they ascribe
obfuscation.
And yet they ascribe purpose to life, and they're making an exception here. It seems like they're not following their own rules, almost.
Well, no, they claim that they're important, that they're not vestigial at all.
They don't think anything is vestigial in that context.
Yeah, nothing is.
Okay.
There's no part of the DNA.
Everything was perfect.
Which is an example of ideology guiding your quote-unquote science, or ideology leading your beliefs, and it's not a good way to do science.
Guiding your opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
What's his next evidence?
What's he going to talk about next? Optical? Or he's going to talk about the eye. I don't know what else he's going to do. I don't think it's worth it. Point 2, vestigial organs found to be useful. What? Again, that was the original definition of vestigial organs. I don't know.
Oh, this looks really sciencey. Let's hear what this is about.
Oh, you want to hear? You want to hear this part? Oh yeah, there's
The guys
scientists.
standing around these people standing around in lab coats.
With the vestigial
Make it sound
organs.
real sciencey, I guess, but look real sciencey.
When we started looking more closely into them, and it became 180 and then 175, and then do you know, as we look more into the body, we realize that those vestigial organs were very useful, many of them extremely useful.
Yeah, we fucking knew that 100 years ago. So screw you. It's like, who are these dudes he's got standing? Okay, they dressed up for this, right? These are creationists dressed up.
It reminds me of something Matt Dillahunty once said: intelligent design is just creationism dressed up in a lab coat.
Yeah, they dressed up in a lab coat. They went down in the basement and they're looking at the water heater down in the building.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's like a water heater wrapped up in a plastic bag.
Yeah. Similarity proves ancient ancestry. It's good evidence for
No.
ancient ancestry. It's good evidence. I don't know. Similarity is.
What was
Yeah.
he going to say here?
Well, okay. We'll see what he says.
Ancient ancestry. And what I simply mean by that is we're told that because humans have similar physical characteristics to certain animals, that proves that they evolved from animals. Well, similarity
No,
doesn't.
nobody says
evolution
that.
at all.
You're
In fact,
wrong.
you could see things.
That's good evidence.
That's just
Similarities,
wrong.
right?
The problem is this guy is taking every singular individual piece of evidence for evolution and saying, well, this doesn't prove it. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a piece of
Yeah,
evidence in
that's a
favor of the hypothesis. All of those pieces of evidence together prove evolution.
That seems to be probably the single biggest misconception, if they have one, about how the scientific theory as a whole works. Just the nature of theories in general. They think it doesn't involve all these independent lines of evidence that single-handedly corroborate each other.
Yeah, and he doesn't really just come out and say why he is thinking that scientifically humans aren't animals. He makes a distinction here between animals and humans, and
Of course they do.
doesn't define animal and doesn't say why we need to somehow distinguish humans from animals scientifically.
My favorite response to, well, I don't think humans are animals is, wait, so you think they're plants? Well, I mean, no, well, but there's kingdom Animalia and there's kingdom Plantae. If we're not in the plant kingdom, then we're in the animal kingdom. So if you're saying that we're not animals, we'd have to be plants.
Is there only those two?
Largely, yes. Some consider fungi to be a different kingdom, but as I understand it, it's largely considered a phylum under the plant kingdom.
So yeah, okay. So it's a specific subcategory. It's particularly
You know
large.
why kingdom is kind of a
Outdated.
fallen out favor kind of term. Yeah, a bit outdated. It's why fungi used to be considered under the plant kingdom in the old days, but now we know
It's
that
closer to
fungi are actually
animals.
more closely related to animals than they are to plants. And
So
that's
fungi are animals now, is what you're saying.
And then they found
No,
archaea.
they're not animals. They're just more closely related to their.
So they're still plants.
No,
No.
they're not
So then
plants.
what are
They're not
they?
animals. They're just more
Well, then
closely
what are
related.
they? So everybody I've talked to says that they're still largely considered to be plants. They would be put under the plant kingdom versus the animal kingdom.
That's
One
only
of
Well,
these-
because
that's why the whole kingdom
Yeah.
system is kind of it doesn't include all this nested clades kind of setup that we have here, the way we classify things. Because
I'm sure,
you
yeah,
can
maybe
have
not
some, like,
phylogenetics,
protists,
but I
for
mean,
example,
like
that
high
are
school biology.
Oh, let me
So
see what I can find here
These
for us.
these creationists, one of the things I notice is they try to do everything possible to avoid calling it a theory. They don't like that word theory at all. It seems they like what Leo's point earlier, that these are things that contribute to that, and they're going to try try to say one little thing doesn't prove evolution, and that they're ignoring the fact, as Leo was alluding to, that it's just it is a scientific theory. It's a whole bunch of facts together, explaining how they work and all this kind of thing, I guess.
I can't find a good map with fungi in it. Anyway, but it has changed over the last 40 years, Leo. So I know when I was a kid, I think they grouped them with plants, and so did I, because that's where I found them, is out in the woods with trees, right? So, I don't know.
Well, it's just it doesn't really make as much sense, because if you look across eukaryotes, there are actually a lot of things that have this plant-like organization that aren't plants, because they lack the defining, distinguishing features that characterize land plants.
Yeah.
And fungi is quite diverse too. It really grows in a lot of different ways very quickly.
Yeah, so, some are entirely unicellular, most are at least partly multicellular as far as I know, but
like fungus grows on people too, and animals. Like I have some on my my toenail from when I was at the Best Western Hotel almost 20 years ago now, and the doctor took a sample and they said, "Oh, it's a new species." And I said, "Oh, is that rare?" They said, "Oh, it does happen. It's not unusual, but most people have the same kinds." So, like, oh boy, it's hard to get rid of this stuff. This fungi is persistent.
Even the term protista, for example, is kind of fallen out of favor. It's kind of, well, I've heard it described as a waste basket taxon, because you have protists, if you want to call it that are actually more closely related to animals and fungi, and then protists that aren't really related to animal, fungi, or plants, and some that are more closely related to plants. So it's not the neat, tidy classification that we grew up with in Linnaean taxonomy by any stretch.
This is a lovely diagram.
Yeah, I have not seen this one before, and this is depicted just a little bit differently than ones that I've seen in the past. So it's on Wikipedia under kingdoms, which is where it kind of like probably explains why there's a whole lot of problems with thinking of it that way. Okay, here's another one.
Because I mean, if you want to be really technical about it, the closest relatives of land plants are what's called embryophytes, or what are called they're freshwater species of green algae. And basically, if you want to be really technical about it, in the cladistics terminology, you would say that land plants are a highly derived type of green algae. So, like I said, it's a bit more complicated and nuanced than the Linnaean type taxonomy classification.
Yeah, here's one that's more typical of what I've seen, where we have bacteria, archaea, eukaryota, and then they have animals and fungi pretty close to each other, and plants.
Seems like no matter which way you look at it, life is a mess.
It is a mess. Kind of a mess.
Well, you guys also have to understand, like, everything that we use for classifying anything, like not just specifically life, is entirely intentional, like with an S. Like it's all based on like the standards that we set and how we understand these things, not like what we apply it to. So it's in some sense it's arbitrary. We just decide on standards and then use those to classify things.
However, when you start looking at genetics, Leo, it becomes much more of a statistical game, and it becomes a lot more solid. Except there are problems because of horizontal gene transfer. Like in those fungi, they found sections that come from certain bacteria. So they've actually found part of a bacterial genome inside of a fungi. That doesn't mean that one was more closely related to the other. It means that there was some hocus pocus transferring going on, that a bacteria got in there, somehow got copied into a fungi genome. And then there's just all kinds of things like that. But overall, when you look at genetics, it is not arbitrary. It is solid as hell. It's solid statistical evidence.
But I wasn't talking about genetics. I was talking about methods of classification. That is arbitrary. Right. It's just based on what we desire. Like, that's it.
Right. And that's why
quibble about that because it is objective, at least in the sense that if you were to put all these different data points into a computer program, you get pretty much the same result. So in that sense, it's not arbitrary. It doesn't depend on who's doing the measurement. It's
But that's data points, not classification. How we classify based on data points is rooted in nothing more than our desires. We desire to classify based on that. That's what it means to be arbitrary. That there is no other reason other than you desire it. That's how humans classify things, based off the systems we desire.
Well, sure, to the desire to classify things, but I meant more like the specific classifications we come up with are pretty objective and testable.
Well, I mean, the reasons for why we use those classifications are, but the classifications themselves are arbitrary. We desired to classify it based on this. It's just arbitrary. We didn't have to use that. We didn't have to use those to develop the systems we use for classification. We chose
what? God damn it! What does Veckel say? Arbitrary select. God damn it! Veckel say, Veckel has a catchphrase: arbitrary something arbitrary. Arbitrary, subjective, arbitrary. There you go.
Oh, you mean ontology recapitulates phylogeny?
I guess, I don't know. I was making a joke, but piggybacking on what Leo just said of arbitrary. Never mind.
It's arbitrary. I don't know. Anyway,
it's just when you say it's an arbitrary classification, it makes it sound like we're just coming up with certain standards and basing it off of that, but that's not really how phylogenetic methodology is done.
What Leo was saying is that we have to.
So, are you saying that every specific classification we use would exist if humans didn't?
No, what Leo was saying, Andrew, is that we have to be very, very careful that we're not putting a biased spin on what we want to see as being the same or how we want to classify things.
So let me give an example of what I'm saying, because I don't think Andrew is wrong here. I think I'm not communicating what I'm trying to say very well. So an astronomical unit is the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Now that distance is objectively 93 million miles, but using that as a unit of measurement is arbitrary. Humans could have used anything. They chose to use that. Now the distance between the Earth and the Sun, like I said, that is objective, but using that as a measurement is not.
Yeah, but the thing is that even like, okay, if we look at a field of dots, right, and we see patterns in that dot, we see clusters or whatever, and our basically looking at that pattern is an interaction between our minds and that pattern. But that pattern is really fucking there. It's just that it's not how we acquire it and how we have knowledge about it may be entirely arbitrary, but we are seeing something that is there. You take two different people and you show them the same pattern, and they will notice that cluster up in the upper left, right? So I mean, there is something.
You're saying like how we name things or how we depict them in illustrations, type of thing.
Yeah, there's. I mean, we can see things in
because I would agree, like where you kind of split the divisions in terms of this clade starts here and ends here. That's kind of arbitrary, but yeah, I think I do agree with what Leo was saying here, that the pattern itself is objective and exists. I guess I was a bit confused what he meant by this is arbitrary in this context.
Yeah, that was my bad. I didn't specify as well as I could have what I meant. That's
but taxonomy has come a long way, and primarily they look to genetics now rather than taxonomy.
Yeah.
No new taxonomies.
Genetics and evo-devo basically is how we.
And I do want to apologize, Leo, because I hear the claim phylogenetic classification is arbitrary from a lot of creationists, so I guess that's my go-to.
You lose your shit.
That, but yeah,
you lose your shit.
And what they mean is that it's completely random and it doesn't mean anything, which is not generally. I mean, arbitrary can mean that, but in more, there's different senses in which arbitrary can be used. Arbitrary can mean just literally nothing. That's just that. Or it can mean that there isn't any other like real reason other than you just desired it. Like, why did you choose to eat cake? Because I wanted to. It's just arbitrary. I could have had anything, but I wanted cake, so I had cake.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't seem to understand what arbitrary really means.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
thing is a lot of other things.
And the thing I keep trying to emphasize is that, even though we'll see a pattern there, and humans will say, okay, there's a line going from the top to the bottom, those dots are really aligned in some manner, so that there is a pattern there. Okay. We can see, we can come up with a whole lot of different ideas from that pattern, but that doesn't change the fact that there is something in these dots. Like if you look at these dots, there's this herringbone pattern, right? Oh my God. Why can't I see it? Okay. Come on. Okay. Yeah, this one. I mean, you can see that there's, there is a mathematically defined pattern there, and that is reality. And whether or not we take it to some arbitrary, subjective other world is on us, right? But there still is something there. I mean, and these dots here, basically, they're bigger at the top than they are at the bottom,
And these kinds of formations do occur naturally with gravitational forces and all kinds of other things and waves and all this stuff. And the fact that we have sufficient intelligence to recognize these and appreciate them, I think, is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. That we can observe it all is the biggest wonder of the universe, as far as I'm concerned.
Make some kind of sense of it, either rational or irrational. It's also,
of course, if you were an alien race looking down upon us, you say, "What the fuck are they on about?" Because
I think the Marklar would be a lot more polite than that. That's a South Park reference.
Okay.
Can we highlight algorithms comment right here? Oh, sorry, Midnight.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, I started to look into it, started to look more deeply into it, but I just found something out today that blows my mind. Apparently, you can use sound to change the chemical composition of liquid, of fluid. So it's sonochemistry.
I wouldn't doubt that at all.
No. Well, yeah, you do. You don't doubt it, but look it up. What is it? Sonochemistry. It is. Wow.
Yeah.
And I heard it from a cartoon. I was watching the Owl House, and they mentioned you could do that. I was like, wait, let me look it up. Sure enough, you can do that. You can use sound. Oh my God! No wonder music is actually. Hold on. Let me talk. No wonder music has such an effect on the brain.
But think about it. Think about it, Midnight. You can heat liquids with sound waves, right? So why would you not be able to get them to? Because you're going to, like, if you have a compression wave going through a liquid.
How do you heat liquids with sound waves?
If you blast them with sound waves, you will heat the liquid.
Oh, the sound waves add energy.
Yeah, they add energy.
Yeah. That's actually. Well, yeah, that's actually part of what I read, right? Yeah. What Leo said.
So sonochemistry has a Wikipedia article on it, so you can go look at it. Look at it there. You can read it on the wiki.
Look at it. You look. SpongeBob meme.
Hey, boys and girls, it's 10-6.
Hey, boys and girls, time to shoot it in the head.
It's time.
Before we wrap up, Otangelo is back, and I have a challenge question for him too.
Oh my God! You know what? I want to see this. Let him on. Let Otangelo on.
You love those creationists.
They are cookie and fun.
Some of them wear lab coats.
Okay, so Otangelo, to gauge your understanding here of physics, since you seem to know a lot about physics, apparently.
It does.
And I want to quiz your knowledge on the concept of entropy. And I'm going to mention two objects, right? I guess two states of the same material. And I want you to tell me which is low entropy and which is high entropy, right? I'm curious what your understanding of this topic is, okay? So
that's a trick question. There is no low entropy or high. Sorry, I couldn't help but respond.
Okay, so I have a glass of crushed ice cubes, and I have a glass of room temperature liquid water. which is low entropy, which is high entropy. Please put your answer in the
Kind of want to answer this as well, just to see if I can figure it out. Just
You
based
should
on.
you should wait till
no, no one else answers
Okay.
it before.
Okay.
Angela
Okay.
does.
Go first. He's the special party in this.
Oh my God!
Did you ask which one was lower entropy than the other? Is that was what the question
Yeah,
was?
which
Or
is
was it
low
just
entropy,
lower,
which
which
is
one's
higher
higher?
entropy?
Yeah.
Or I guess which is lower entropy compared to the other?
Yeah, which one's lower, which one's higher?
Okay. Did he answer yet? Come on,
No.
I'm itching here.
No, not yet.
Oh, well, he probably needs a few moments to type it. Give him a few moments. So.
No, I need some moments to Google it.
I look
He
forward to
links up-
hearing him. I look forward to seeing his answer. I don't know the difference of these, so I'm going to learn something here.
Oh,
He leaks some.
Can you hold on? Can you repeat it again? The
okay. So
question?
I have a glass of crushed ice cubes, and I have a glass of liquid water. Which is lower entropy compared to the other?
Okay, I'm gonna put my guess in the side chat. Is that
Okay.
all right?
Yeah,
In the
as long
private
as you don't
chat,
say it out loud so that Otantran
Yeah.
can't steal your answer.
Put in the private chat.
Yeah, put in the private chat.
It might be wrong anyway. So
Okay, I want
That's
to point
not
out
related
that
to the topic, Otangelo.
Yeah, he didn't actually answer the question. He pulled a William
Okay.
Lane Craig. Oh, just
Yeah.
go read my book. I wrote about this already.
Yeah. So what Otangelo has done here is it's called a. You want to put up his answer. He's diverting to a different topic. This is a debate tactic people will use. They'll try to divert the topic so they can avoid answering the question
herring.
and
Right.
distract people with a different topic. It indicates that they don't
Okay,
have an idea of the
hold
answer.
on,
So
hold
I think let's hear Midnight Sparkle's answer. Go ahead. Tell him.
hold on. Did he actually answer?
No.
Nope. He diverted the topic.
Well, okay.
twice.
Well, if he diverted, my guess is crushed ice, high entropy, liquid water, low entropy. Am I
That's
right?
what most
Wrong?
people would say, and unfortunately, that is the incorrect answer.
Okay. fair enough.
Most people don't understand the difference
Well,
between
no.
low
Hang on.
entropy and high entropy. They
Here's-
get them flipped.
I have a question.
Well, hold on. I want to say this. Like in the beginning, I thought, okay, the water is high. I honestly should have given my original guess. Water high. Never mind. But I
So
yeah, I should have
yeah,
said water high. Whatever. Yes.
Would you like
So
me
now-
to explain?
and I'm going to have to go right away here.
Yes.
But liquid is not as cold as the ice, so there's more entropy where there's more heat. Is that correct?
No.
Uh,
Wrong on
Wait,
that too.
what?
yes,
More
I guess you'd have to factor
I
that into it.
mean,
But
I
basically,
guess that. Go ahead.
so basically, entropy in a simplistic sense in the Ludwig Boltzmann's context, look it up. The Boltzmann equation, you can think of entropy instead of a measure of disorder, whatever you want to call that, bricks falling down or whatnot. I don't think that's a very good image, but instead you can think of entropy as the number of ways that you can arrange the individual components of a system and still end up with the same macroscopic properties, so like temperature, pressure, things like that. So if we were to assume, for example, that there are the same number of atoms in this crushed ice and this liquid water, both same number of atoms in the two glasses, the crushed ice, there are only a few combinations of atoms that can end up in, they perfectly fit together into an ice cube configuration. Therefore, it's lower entropy compared to water, where you can just randomize how the atoms are moving around and they'd still be a liquid form. Does that kind of make sense?
I've got an add-on question for you. Which one has more information, the ice or the water?
Oh, come on.
How are you
Steve.
defining information?
Yeah, there's a question.
Yeah.
Well,
It
so
would
what I wanted
be-
to say was that if you want to know which system has lower
The ice
entropy,
has
look at
less
which
information.
system can do more work on its environment, because that's what entropy is. Entropy is a measure of the work that some system can perform on its environment, and that's the simplistic way I like to describe it. The
Yeah,
lower
that's
the
a
entropy
way.
of a system, the more work it can do on its environment. Ice can release more heat into the absorb more heat from its environment. It can do more work than just water that's already at room temperature, that's already been melted. So because it's going to be more closer to equilibrium with its environment or in equilibrium with its environment versus the ice. So ice is a lower entropy state. It can do
This
more
is
work.
also the reason why a grid configuration is actually low entropy, as I was saying, because there's only one way to arrange the system and to make it look like that. Just putting the points to get like Leo was saying, you can put it in different context. I prefer my way of putting it, but obviously there are different ways of putting it.
But yeah, Andrew, that's pretty awesome.
Information works too, because you can basically, it would take far more to describe a random, like a liquid, than it would be to describe a crystal. A crystal takes a lot less information to describe.
I have a quick question for you, Speed. Do you think information is the fifth state of matter? Like, I think I gave you that paper. I think I gave you that paper a while ago.
I think that's all pretty much bullshit. But yeah.
I mean, did you read the paper or the article or whatever?
I did, and I thought they were bloviating beyond their. Yeah.
I don't know what it would mean to say that information is a state of matter. Information, like in its broadest sense, are the ways that we can like describe, characterize, and quantify something.
Right, but wouldn't you say information? You know, like information is carried. You know, is physical. It's carried. Like,
I think it's physical. It's physical in that if you have 6 water molecules, and one of them is way out in the far 40, and the other 5 are here. Basically, there's something physical about that distribution, and how to describe that is what we humans would call information. But
yeah, information is just a description of a physical system. Of course, it's going to be physical.
Yeah, and
it's like energy. Energy is also physical, but energy is just a particular way that we characterize the ability of some system to do work.
Yeah,
energy isn't like an ontically real thing that you can point to and go, that's energy. Energy is a human thing that we kind of came up with as a way of characterizing the ability of a physical system to have some sort of effect on its surroundings, to what level of effect it can have, all that stuff. That's what energy is, the ability of some system to engage in action on its environment, and to what level and all that stuff.
Well, I guess my question would be is what would, I don't know, like what would convince you guys that, you know, that information is the fifth state of matter, because it is physical. I really got to read that article. Go ahead.
You would have to tell me how which state of matter is it phase transitioning from, and then are there any other states of matter that information can phase transition into? Because if we can't characterize it that way, then I have no idea what sense it makes to call it a state of matter.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah, I suppose that does make sense. Like, I was just asking, you know, I didn't read the article. I find a lot of stuff. I still like, I plan to read later. I just never do.
I just want to bring up this. Go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I was bringing up this entropy issue or question to Otangelo, because if he cannot answer this question, I highly doubt that he is trustworthy in the realm of cosmological physics.
And he didn't even.
That's my point there.
He didn't even answer the question.
He didn't answer the question.
But I have another question. Correct me if I'm wrong. But aren't the atoms in an ice, in an ice cube actually farther away than if it was liquid?
No.
I remember. Let's see. I remember reading. Maybe I'm misremembering. But
they're closer together, which is why it's a solid.
No,
as it goes into a liquid, they get further apart, such that the atoms have the ability to. And I'm using loose terminology here. Obviously, this isn't literally what's happening. They start to roll around each other, which is what the property of a liquid is. And then when it gets to the point of it being a gas, they're so far apart that they can really, really move. And then at plasma, the electrons aren't even bound to the nucleus of the atom anymore. So the closer you get to solid, those electrons are falling down energy states.
Water is one of the
Leo, calm down.
Yeah, I was trying to explain
is one of the few compounds that actually expands when it freezes.
Ha!
They line up and it expands.
Yeah, but that's not because the atoms are getting further apart. That's not what's happening.
They're actually further apart. Yeah.
No, they're not. I don't know what it means to talk, and this is what I was going to add. I don't know really what it even means to talk about atoms being close together or further apart. That's not really a thing atoms do. It has to do with the state of the electrons in the system.
Yeah, the electrons would be basically it lines itself up and it manages to push out, and that's why if you put your pop bottle in the fridge and it's full of water and you freeze it, it will blow up. Basically,
Yeah, that has to do with the molecular structure, not
it
with
has
the
to do with
electron.
the polarity of the water molecule, basically.
Yeah, not the electrons where they're at. In ice, they're closer to the nucleus. They're at a lower orbital than they would be in either water or gas, which is why ice, water, and steam have completely
it's
different
almost
properties and are different states of matter.
So it's almost like language is important in describing something, huh, Leo?
It's almost like what?
I said, never mind. It was a joke.
Well, I know I just didn't hear it. It sounded like you said it's almost like lead is important in.
It's almost like language is important in accurately describing what's going on, huh, Leo?
Well, I don't know how you would describe something without a language. That makes no sense.
We got a question here from
Jesus
Angelo for Leo.
Forget it.
We have a really important question. What if electrons would not jiggle?
The electrons do not jiggle. I don't know what he's asking me. Jiggling isn't a thing that the electrons do.
I think he's
The fifth state of matter is gelatin.
Yeah.
yes.
No, it's basically
Actually, you know what? That's actually a good question.
Cheesecake.
Like, why does Jello wiggle? Like,
the final
it's like a
state of matter
solid,
is
but
cheesecake.
it's like
The fifth state of matter is probably a Bose-Einstein condensate, maybe a quark gluon plasma. Actually, would that be higher than a? I don't know. There's like 18 technical states
No.
of matter out there, or
No,
21,
fuck it.
something like that.
fucking the state.
Something around 20.
The fifth state of matter is consciousness. There you go.
I don't. That confuses me. Consciousness.
Okay,
is-
what does Ocangelo mean by jiggle here?
Leo, I'm just fucking around.
Yeah. Hey guys, I think
What does
we're
you
gonna
mean
shoot
by
her
what?
in the head.
Uh,
I think it's time to shoot her in the head, don't you think?
yes.
Yep, I gotta go
Yes.
soon.
I think it is.
I
Okay.
got stuff to do.
Okay. So let me see. How do I do this? I even
Really
forgot.
quickly before, because there was something I wanted to share with you guys. It's not long at all. It's just
Okay.
just in case you guys, I don't know if you guys ever heard about it or
3
saw it,
hours
but
later.
I'll put the link to it. It depends on how often I get interrupted. I'll put the link to it in the private chat and in the YouTube chat. But I was actually on, I don't know if you guys know the channel Gnostic Informant. So about a month-ish or so ago, I was on his channel and he did editing and stuff, and it's sort of like a documentary style thing where we talk about
Awesome.
the video is called The Nature of Reality. So I put the link in the private chat there and in the YouTube chat if
Okay.
anybody wants to check that out.
Excellent.
We talked
I
about,
will-
science and quantum mechanics and physics and relativity and stuff like that.
And I will put that in the description as well. I'll go and look it up.
Awesome.
Thank you.
But yep, that's all I had.
Now, did he discuss it from a Gnostic point of view at all? Or
No,
okay,
I guess I don't really know what you're asking
That's
me.
okay,
That's got.
okay. I was just wondering. I was curious.
Okay. Okay. Anyway,
Gnostic
we're,
informant. What does that even
we're
mean?
leaving.
What?
we are leaving. Goodbye, cruel world.
Answers in atheism.
Love you.